In a shameful season for fans, St-Étienne saved the worst for last. The cauldron finally boiled over. The Stade Offroy-Gichard is affectionately nicknamed Le Cauldron for its fiery atmosphere, but the moniker took on a sour flavor on Sunday night as St-Étienne's relegation to League Two was greeted by hordes of flare-wielding fans chasing their players down the tunnel. After a cataclysmic campaign on and off the pitch, St-Étienne scraped temporary survival on the final day of the league season thanks to a late equalizer from Romain Hamama against Nantes. The goal took them above Metz in the table and into the relegation playoff, setting up a two-legged tie against Auxerre, who had finished third in League Two. After dominating last Thursday's away leg but only coming away with a 1-1 draw, St-Étienne were unable to rise to the task in front of their home fans. With both games ending 1-1, the tie would be decided on penalties. Riot Boudabaz's opening spot kick was saved, and Auxerre scored all 5 of their penalties to earn promotion. Baramatour's winning penalty had barely crossed the line when St-Étienne fans ran onto the pitch, converging in their thousands towards the tunnel as the players were evacuated quickly. Auxerre only had a split second to celebrate their return to League One after a decade away, before the jubilant players who had flocked to Tours turned around and witnessed the mayhem unravel around them. Flares were fired at players, seats were burned, and riot police intervened with tear gas. Amazon Prime's coverage had to be interrupted as the commentators struggled with the thick smoke. In a season where French football has embarrassed itself from the very start, St-Étienne fans left the worst for last as their anger spilled out of the stands and went from mere protest to something much uglier. One of the stands had already been closed off as a result of flares being thrown onto the pitch in their 4-1 defeat to Monaco last month. That the Stéphanois would express their frustration is expected, but the violent manner in which their anger exploded puts them equally at fault and is symptomatic of a wider unending problem with stadium incidents that the French authorities have failed to address properly this season. Local police reported that 33 people were injured on the night, including 2 Auxerre players caught up in the chaos. On paper, a team containing Boudabaz, Wabi Kazri and Denis Bouanga should not be going down. However, upheaval on and off the pitch and a lack of a coherent transfer window has meant that no amount of individual brilliance could drag St-Étienne out of their mess. After enjoying a new manager bounce when he took over from Claude Puel in December, the fiery Pascal Dupraz could not rally the troops to survival past the winter months. Despite the relative wealth of technical talent at his disposal, Dupraz was unable to cobble together anything resembling a winning gameplan, instead serving up a slop of insipid, tasteless football devoid of ambition. This was hardly counterbalanced by any sort of defensive solidity either. They conceded 77 goals in their 38 league games. It has been an abject season for the St-Étienne defense. Harold McCouty has not won any of his 26 League One games this season. The captain, Timothy Kolodziejczak, was eventually removed from the squad after catastrophic performances, including own goals against Marseille and Monaco. The former Sevilla and Rennes man Joris Nagnan arrived as a free agent in November and was unable to shed the necessary pounds to reach match fitness, eventually leaving in May without making a single appearance. The culmination of their defensive woes came in a 6-2 defeat to relegation rivals Lorient in April, a result that all but sealed their place in the bottom 3. The management that characterized Dupraz's previous great escapes with Toulouse and Evian is no longer a recipe for success on its own. Unsurprisingly, his 6-month deal will not be renewed. He ends his time with Les Verts having won 20 points, admittedly an improvement on Puel's 12 that saw the team rock bottom at the winter break. St-Étienne's downfall is a story of boiled frogs. The co-presidents Roland Romier and Bernard Caiazzo have overseen a backsliding in the club's standing as successive bids were pushed away by either one or the other, putting the club's much-needed sale on standby for years. With both men prioritizing their own favored bidders and neither willing to invest much money into the club, they have sleepwalked into financial and sporting dismay. In November, a Cambodian prince publicly announced his intention to buy the club before the club's legal action over an allegedly fake bank guarantee letter for €100 million put a swift end to the prospect of a royal takeover. After the final whistle on Sunday, the club released a statement announcing that important news concerning the future of the club would be on its way, hinting about the possible sale of the club to the American investor David Blitzer, who is already part owner of Crystal Palace, Augsburg, Alcorcon and Real Salt Lake. Blitzer and his fellow billionaire Josh Harris had made 2 distinct proposals. One if the club remained in League One and the other if they were relegated to League Two. After the bedlam on Sunday night, they are reportedly reconsidering their interest. Saint-Étienne may be better off forging their own path back to Ligue 1 by maintaining their unique character rather than becoming another cog of a multi-club ownership system. However, the proposal from the Canadian businessman John Chayka to buy the club, which ruled out pursuing a multi-club strategy to protect the identity of Saint-Étienne, appears to have been disregarded purely owing to Caiazzo's personal relationship with Blitzer. This leaves the club with a lot of questions, but not much time to answer them. With 13 first-team players' contracts expiring, a manager set to leave, and no indication how the ownership situation will develop, it will be a new-look St-Étienne that starts life in the second tier in August. The club may begin life in the second tier on negative points, and they will probably play a good chunk of their home games behind closed doors. The former Troyes manager Laurent Battles is said to be the favorite for a return to the club where he finished his playing career in 2012, although his falling out with Caiazzo and Romier, while managing the reserves in 2019, may scupper that move. Unable to recapture the spark of the Christophe Galtier years or the solidity they enjoyed under Jean-Louis Gasset's reign, Saint-Étienne have been in freefall for the past 3 years. The club were consistently qualifying for Europe until 2017 and developing some of the continent's most exciting talents. Now, they are back in Ligue 2 for the first time in 16 years. Ligue 1 will be without St-Étienne and Bordeaux next season for the first time since before the Second World War. The downfall of two of France's most storied clubs who boast 16 league titles between them has been fraught with incompetence and self-interest, but most of all a patent satisfaction with mediocrity. With only 2 teams being promoted from Ligue 2 next season, to help the top-flight restructure to just 18 teams, Saint-Étienne and Bordeaux could see the gates to Ligue 1 close on them for some time. Although they can credibly position themselves as victims of French football's financial strife from COVID-19 to the failed broadcasting rights deal with Mediapro, the problems run far deeper at both clubs. The cauldron has finally boiled over, the frog has leapt out, and now begins the cleanup. The link between fans, players and owners has been broken almost beyond repair, but some sort of unity will be needed if they are to survive what is shaping up to be the highest-stakes Ligue 2 campaign for a while. Until then, the management will need to avoid stirring the pot and put the club in the safest possible hands over the summer. This is an article from Get French Football News. Follow Eric Devon, Adam White and GFFN on Twitter.